Good day, everyone, and welcome to Virtual Concert Halls. We are an independent broadcasting platform for musicians, music managers, music educators, and especially for music lovers. I'm Anna Ospinskaya, and I'll be hosting today's interview. We are dedicated to streaming live performances. We connect musicians with their audiences and with each other in real time over the internet. And today I have very exciting two guests joining me for this program. What's the best way to introduce a pianist? I think the best way is to hear a pianist play our beloved beast. Welcome, Mark Deeks. What a joyful feeling. Thank you, Mark, for joining us from the UK. Welcome on our program. Mark is the best selling author of Not Another Piano Book: How Everything That Stopped You from Playing Like a Piano Legend So Far that should not anymore. Helping people tap into the power of music to improve our mental health. And that is an important topic of today's conversation. Mark, welcome again. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And we're going to introduce the second guest of our program. And before she joined us for the panel discussion and the introduction of the actual topic of the program, we will hear Shirley Chow performing her piano music. Thank you, Shirley, very much for this beautiful intro into Debussy. We got two worlds, and truly, both of you are from worlds apart because Shirley is joining us from Hong Kong in real time, and real time in Hong Kong is almost 4 in the morning. Welcome, Shirley.
Oh, yes.
That's an incredible that you can even play at that time of the day. Shirley, please tell us a little bit about yourself. You're an accomplished pianist, you're opera coach, you're a concert and musical show producer across the continent, and you're a award-winning global speaker advocating mental health and social emotional intelligence. Can you speak a little bit about what is this? Because we have this as an important topic of the upcoming program, which Mark is organizing on Clubhouse, and we'll get to that central part of our discussion in a moment. But please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, a lot of people always ask me, how does a singer and an opera coach kind of evolve into this advocate, right, for emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and above all, mental health? It has everything to do with how music is inherently a healing medium. It's a gift from God or the heavens. And since I have spent my whole life kind of surviving PTSD, depression, and all those good stuff, uh, and it really, music and comedy, humor, these two things literally saved my life. So when I started coaching across the globe and seeing that from children to retirees, they're all showing similar symptoms of, mental health problems and behavioral problems, I started just naturally using songs and music and just really performance itself because it's such an empowering endeavor, right? And just merging everything together and just try to really share my journey of healing with them.
You're just such a sharing person. You just put it so simply, just share. But you're an award-winning speaker, and I believe there are quite a few very important awards. I hope we can show some of the visual presentations of those awards. Tell us a little bit more about this one. That's a Women's of Heart Award.
Right. This came about a month ago, I think, through a speaker that I met in Cairo last March. And there's this Desiree Richardson from actually from the UK, like Mark. And she's just doing amazing work supporting women from across the globe with her foundation called the Women of Heart Foundation.
Very interesting. And there was another recent award in your big collection. Tell us a little bit more about this one.
This is just something I usually show people in Hong Kong right now because you know how people like to put people in boxes, and so I am kind of evolving from one box to another, and so they get very confused. So what are you? Are you trying to teach us how to sing and play, or are you trying to boost my intelligence? Which one is it? Well, it's the same thing. It's just the tool. The tool I use is a non-invasive, easy, and friendly tool, because we are born to seek the voices of our mothers, right? We fall in love with lullabies from the get-go, and we learn almost every song in childhood naturally, and in our weddings, in our most memorable experiences in life, there's always music playing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Now, I want to also ask Mark a little bit about yourself. If you can tell us, you're also on a big journey of music and its power to connect and empower people for better mental health. And the event which you're organizing is especially interesting. An upcoming event on March 29th and through 30th. And 24-hour marathon event you're hosting on Clubhouse audio channel. And so I want to hear more about that, the meaning, the mission, the purpose and the point of this, and how the two of you came together to be bringing more and more pianists to that event. One of the very catchy things about this, which really impressed me right away, so you timed the event to 88 days of 2021 and connected it with 88 keys on our beloved Beast's keyboard. And you're bringing in 88 pianists of all styles from around the entire globe to this big gathering of the piano community. Please tell us more about it.
Thank you very much, Anna. So yeah, I have been a piano player all my life. I was classically trained, but kind of fell in love with pop music and rock music quite early on. So whilst I did all my classical qualifications, it's probably quite a long time since I've done any kind of serious classical playing. So what I started to do through my career was play piano, work as a musical director, work as an arranger. But one of the areas of music that I tended to get involved in quite a lot early in my career was community choirs. And community choirs, both as an accompanist and a musical director and arranger, became quite fascinating to me, because when I was working as an accompanist, mostly, first of all, I was able to sit and watch, because a lot of the piano parts weren't necessarily very difficult technically, so I could just surround myself with what was going on. And the choirs that I was working with, some of them had 300 singers in. And so when you're watching 300 people sing, even if you don't like the music, that's a powerful experience.
Absolutely.
So I started to be really fascinated with what happens when people perform music that they feel. Because I noticed that when they perform songs that mean something to them, that they feel like they've got a connection with, it's a very, very different ball game to when they're playing or singing a piece of music that they just like. That's a very different ball game. There seems to be 10 or 20% extra come from somewhere that's kind of intangible, that you certainly can't teach. As a musical director, you just have to hope that they feel it. And so as I fast forward through to the last couple of years, I set up my own choir company called Sing United. And we have 150 singers here in the city that I'm from. And one of the things that I wanted to make the core principle of Sing United was what I called music with meaning. I wanted all of the songs to mean something. I wanted them to be about causes, real history, real people, real places, folklore, protests, whatever it was, songs that people could feel an emotional connection with. And then I wanted to add into that a fundraising element, a charity element. So we set up the Sing United Foundation as a sort of the charitable wing of Sing United, because what I wanted to do was every time we did a show and we had a different theme of the music, I wanted to thematically connect the charity we were raising money for at that time. So when we were singing songs that were about rivers and shipbuilding, we were raising money for our local lifeboat, people who work on the lifeboats and rescue people from the sea. When where we were singing songs about mental health, we did a mental health show called Always on My Mind, and we raised money for a local mental health charity. I wanted people to be singing something and achieving something with it at the same time, because then they were going to feel something. And so that was kind of my passion for community choirs and how I started to connect the two things together. But in terms of my piano playing, what I started to realize in recent years, my piano coaching, which I do all online, and thankfully I did online even before COVID happened, which gave me a bit of an advantage when it did, was that most of my clients tend to be people who are perhaps, let's call it, in the second half of their lives. They're not young piano players who want to become professionals. They're adults who might be 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80s years old, who just want to play to feel better. This is something they've always wanted to do. They feel a passion for, and they want to play a tune that reminds them of their father. Well, they want to play a tune that reminds them of their granddad that sang to them when they were a kid. They want to play a song that means something to their wife or husband. They want to play music with meaning. And so I noticed that the connections of the themes were the same in the two parts of what I did. And so I started to talk about what I do as music in the terms of mental health, because I started to realize I've had a hard time in the last year myself. Myself and my wife had a really personal loss. We lost a child. And I started to realize that it wasn't that I was a musician that created mental health benefits as a spin-off benefit. I help people to feel better. It just so happens that music is my vehicle to do it. And that's exactly what Shirley was talking about before. So I feel really powerful about, and since I've just even in the last few weeks, I've started sharing my story, that this is the right path to do. So the event on Monday, which I can certainly tell you about, is how myself and Shirley, our paths have crossed.
Yes, that's what I would like to hear, because clearly you both are, like you said, you're using the music as a tool, as a vehicle, as an opportunity for people to connect on a deeper and more emotional level, and to be able to get on the wavelengths of well-being through
Absolutely.
music. Using music as a channel for that. So let's hear both of you tell us more about this upcoming event, and I think we have some visuals also to show the viewers to understand a little bit better.
So I can't take credit for inventing this 88th day idea. That's not mine. World Piano Day has always been on the 88th day of the year, to, as you say, to celebrate the 88 keys. And it just so happens this year that falls on the 29th of March. But what was my idea? There was to take advantage of this new platform, Clubhouse, that has been in a huge explosion, not just as a social platform, but as a networking platform. And people of all kinds of backgrounds who have come together and started to form all these random connections. And most crucially, at a very, very fast pace, because all you can do on Clubhouse is hear people's voices and hear what you can feel a bit of their heart and soul behind what they're speaking when they're talking about something that means to them. So I just started talking as much as possible about my mission to bring music to people in the context of mental health in as many rooms on Clubhouse as I could find, because I decided only 11 days ago to try and host the world's first Clubhouse World Piano Day, where I would attempt to bring together 88 people from different backgrounds, different styles, different countries, to just share the love of piano and what it means to them and what the music has given to them. And I have to say, I don't think I'm going to get to 88, but I'm trying. I've nearly got to 40, which is, I think, pretty good for 11 days.
Well, you haven't even been at that for 11 days. You still have 5 days to go.
Yeah,
That's 4.
So
that's right.
I'm going as fast as I can. I've never sent so many messages in my life.
I just love it. Music with a purpose. This is just an incredible motto. Shirley?
I just loved everything Mark said. And you know, Mark, you and I are on the very same path, because in 2016, I made a decision that I'm not going to let children commit that heinous thing. I don't want to use the word, but when I found out that they know how to get down that path, I was like, no way. So I also started producing these concerts with a theme, and that I hook all the music, all the songs to that theme, and make sure that the social copywriting and everything conveys that message. So when you and I stumbled upon the same room a few days ago on Clubhouse, it was like 2 days ago, right? Yeah. And he was like seizing the opportunity. The room was about taking opportunities. So he came on after I finished talking, and he was just explaining to everybody, hey, I need pianists. I'm like, oh my, okay, for what? Mental health. I'm like, bingo. I need to connect with this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. The room was full of people who are perhaps very successful and very wealthy and talking about how much money they'd lost when they hadn't invested in Facebook. And I'm like, this is my opportunity right now. I want to
Absolutely.
connect with as many people as possible to see if I can get this message to the right people. And Shirley very thankfully reached out to me and said, I'd like to connect you with Anna. And then before we knew where we were, myself and Shirley were realizing how much of our sort of paths were quite similar in very different worlds, but there's a theme running through them.
So, how do you see that people can participate?
Yeah. So obviously at the moment, Clubhouse is unfortunately iPhone only. It's an Apple only app and it's not even on desktop. So that's straight away kind of limited some people. But what we're trying to do is some of the sessions. So I'm changing session every 30, 45, 60 minutes, different styles of music, people from different countries, different themes, different topics of discussion. So we're trying to keep it moving quite quickly throughout the day and bringing different panels together. But what we're saying to people is some of the content is being pre-recorded as video interviews, and then we're going to play the sound of the interviews into Clubhouse. So that means we can involve some people who perhaps wouldn't have otherwise been able to access it. And also we can put those video interviews on my YouTube channel, on the Mark Deeks Music YouTube channel.
So, sorry to interrupt. So, people need to download the Clubhouse app in order to hear the talks, right?
Yeah, to participate in the full day, the Clubhouse app, and then we have a music and mental health club, or you can just follow me at Mark Deeks Music or search for That Piano Guy, and hope you find me in one of those many ways. But yeah, the room is going to run for 24 hours on Clubhouse, starting at 8 a.m. UK time.
So it's going to go nonstop. So we don't need to really follow the schedule of your interviews, or do we?
I'm going to put the schedule when it's sort of finalized, which is changing by the minute. But I'm going to put the schedule on my Instagram and Facebook pages and so on, so that people can see them. And then, yeah, we'll just keep it going as much as we can.
And if anyone is not in a Clubhouse, let me just confirm, we would still be able to see it on the YouTube and Facebook and other channels as well, right?
Just some of the interviews. We're going to record some of the sessions in terms of the people, because one of the things you have to be careful of is Clubhouse is not allowed to be streamed onto another platform. So we have to be careful about that. So you have to say you're recording it if you're going to record a discussion, because one of the whole sort of fundamental notions of Clubhouse is that it's not transferred onto another platform. So we're bringing other things into Clubhouse in some terms of some of the pre-recorded content. And we're also going to record some of the sessions and then later put some of the recordings onto YouTube.
I get it. Now, what if someone wants to join in to speak?
Mm-hmm. So they have to be on Clubhouse really to do that, other than the people that we've lined up as participants and speakers, in advance. So we've got some people who we've lined up for interviews in advance, and we're finding some ways to bring them in if they're not on Clubhouse. But in terms of like audience, if people just want to listen and perhaps ask questions, then yeah, they need to be on the Clubhouse app to do that.
Right, but let's say they are on the Clubhouse, because I assume a lot of people already are, and they want to pitch in and maybe comment or add their own story. Can they?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be encouraged. So we're going to try and have as many different people up as possible, because then we can keep a record of them and see if we can get to 88. But yeah, that would be lovely. So yeah, anyone who is a piano player, even just a fan, we want to try and involve as many people as we can. But I think we're going to get to about 40, 45 like speakers or participants. And then maybe we can hit 88 next year and do it in person. Who knows? But yeah, we're gonna get as many people as we can. But absolutely, if people want to listen to it and ask questions and get involved, that's absolutely what we're there for.
And Shirley, I would like to hear your perspective on participating in this as maybe as an observer, as a listener, and maybe not taking really active part, not commenting.
Oh, Shirley speaking.
Not necessarily. Is there any benefit for people to do that? Because I can understand, communicating and being part of the event or being a speaker in there, that's an active participation. But from the mental health perspective, these programs, are they really needed for anyone but those people who are really actively speaking in them?
What I find is so fascinating about Clubhouse is that you know how you have either like a Facebook Live, Instagram Live. So one needs to have a lot of courage and self-esteem, right? To get in front of the camera and get like put up and dolled up and whatever. And you feel like you can't say something stupid or wrong because you're going to feel so terrible about yourself. And then you have, on the other hand, you have like things like Audible. You just listening, and you can zone out so easily. So Clubhouse is kind of like a cross in between because you're listening, but these are real people having real conversations, and they're very casual, just like you are in a bar and you're just talking, talking, talking. And if you just raise your hand, all of a sudden you're not just absorbing anymore, you're contributing. And that, I remember those days when I was at the very bottom of the abyss, when I couldn't care less about anything. But I knew back then someone was caring over me, watching over me. And when you join a house like this, a room like this, you know that you're not alone. And if one person in a similar kind of condition as you are, they take the courage and they started speaking up, you feel like, hey, maybe I can do that too. And so in my last 10, 12 years in my role as a director for Performing Arts Center, that's exactly how I use singing or use fun to get those really timid and really kind of like destroyed little souls to feel like my voice is just as normal or as valuable as anybody else's voice. So I think the value of what Mark is doing is that at least you feel like you're not alone. And if just a normal everyday Joe can speak up, why can't I?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the things I found the most remarkable about Clubhouse is that I went from being convinced it was everything I would hate about social media to loving it in about 3 days. Because there's something very, very primal and human about just being able to have a conversation, like Shirley is saying, without the distraction of what do they look like, how good is their camera, how good are the lights, am I getting enough likes, are they sending private messages, video content, pictures, all of these other distractions that we would see on certainly Facebook and things like Instagram. Whereas with Clubhouse, this is just conversation, and it's random as anything. I've never seen anything as random where the three of us from different sides of the world literally could go from never having heard each other. Well, you guys knew each other previously, but you know what I mean? The three-way connection went from not existing to existing and collaboration in hours. And that's really extraordinary, because the chance of me walking into a conference that Shirley was speaking at, or being in America and seeing or hearing of Anna playing or anything, probably non-existent. And yet a three-way collaboration happened like that. And that has just been one example of tens and tens and tens of conversations like that over the last few weeks, where I suddenly feel, even as someone who's organizing something, I feel more connected than I did before. Because, I'm a piano player who's in a famous metal band who who talks about mental health. And as a collection of things, that's a fairly random selection of things, and I conduct choirs for a living. That's a fairly random selection of things. And for in that collection of things to feel resonance with someone on the other side of the world in hours who's come from a very different background, a very different path, I think it's extraordinary. So I'm a massive fan of Clubhouse. And I can honestly say, I think it's helped my mental health already.
Well, I want to pitch in. It also speaks to the people's desire and drive to get connected, and musicians in particular, and pianists, I would say, in particular, because
Absolutely.
just like you rightfully pointed out, this is a wonderful instrument. I love it dearly, but I love people more.
And it's a very solo instrument, isn't it? When we're playing the piano, there's really nowhere to hide. It's a very solitary pastime sometimes, unless you've got an audience. And of course, right now, many musicians haven't had the audiences they've normally had. So it feels like Clubhouse has come along at the right time to connect. I mean, obviously, your virtual concerts have filled that hole in a spectacular way. But without the this kind of use of technology, it's a very solitary situation for a lot of instrumentalists, particularly right now.
And we have a question from an audience member. Let's put it up and see if you can please answer. So
Yeah.
It's concerning the Clubhouse app, which is currently by invite only.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a few invites. I'm perfectly happy to send them to anyone. That's no problem at all. I think that's obviously been a marketing initiative to attempt to sort of create this fear of missing out thing. But I think now there are so many people on the platform that I think most people I know have a couple of invites. I think that's kind of, at first, when there was a smaller number, there were fewer invites to go around. I think with a little bit of asking around, you'll find most people have a couple of invites to spare. So if anyone wants to contact me, great.
So how do people contact you? And surely you're on the Clubhouse, so you can provide people access to this space, right? How do we go about contacting you? Just send you a message or find you on Facebook? How would you prefer to be contacted?
Either Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn or the Mark Deeks Music Facebook page. Anyone who wants to reach out to me is absolutely fine. Connect with me, send me a message, and then all it needs is you to set up your own account. And then let the person know that you've done that. Exchange mobile numbers temporarily because you have to sort of text the invite, and then you're there and you're ready to take part.
How about you, Shirley?
Pretty much. I mean, if you look on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn for Shirley Whing, there's only one Shirley Whing in the entire world, as far as I know.
Is that really true? That's amazing.
It's terrific.
So you'll be able to access me and just DM me. I'm more than happy to help.
I nearly fell off my seat the other day when I went into a Clubhouse room and saw someone else with a Deeks surname, because that's really rare. Really rare. Wow. I need to be your friend immediately.
And I want to say many thanks to Sharon Yip, who sent us this message with this question, because it really pointed us to an ability to answer this question. Probably is on the minds of many people who are interested in joining and trying out the Clubhouse app and seeing what benefits can bring to them and their own building of the sense of belonging and connection in the community. And this is incredible. So just a few to wrap up our conversation, just a few nuts and bolts about the upcoming event. Mark, Shirley, if you can please walk us through the dates, who, what, when, kind of thing, that would
No
be
problem
very
at all.
helpful.
So it will start on Clubhouse in the Music and Mental Health Club at 8 a.m. UK time on Monday, the 29th of March. And the topic of discussion will change every 30, 45, 60 minutes, depending on who's involved. So we've got people from the classical arena. We've got a guy called Gabriele Baldocci, who's just done a Brian May approved classical versions of Queen songs album. We've got Rita Ora's keyboard player from a very sort of pop background. We've got the keyboard player from the Finnish metal band Sonata Arctica, who I recorded an interview with last night. We've got people who use technology to do with piano performance and teaching, such as yourself, Anna. You're going to come on to the technology session. Shirley's going to do a session later on in the day about all of the kind of topics we've been discussing today about social emotional intelligence and how she uses music in connection with that. We've got a session called The Future of Piano, where we're going to get parents to bring their young children on and play a few tunes. We've got a session about overcoming adversity, where people who've suffered either physical or mental trauma and have used music in their playing to overcome it. We've got all different kinds of sessions going on. And shall I give you an exclusive? I don't know whether I should give you an exclusive. What do you think, Anna? Because you know what my exclusive is, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Is it an exclusive time?
Yeah. Give me an exclusive time.
So Anna kindly put me in contact with a gentleman called Mark Berman. And Mark Berman, apart from anything else, once played with Aretha Franklin and Gladys Knight.
Oh my God.
And all of these kind of huge stars. But has kind of also become famous for being the piano player who played the theme tune to Sex and the City. And he's going to come and do an interview for World Piano 88 on Monday. And isn't that worth hearing on its own?
And he's going to be sharing his gorgeous playing, his electrifying playing, and his amazingly warm personality. Guys, don't miss it, because you'll be able to connect with Mark like he's your neighbor guy.
That's absolutely how I found him. I had a call with him today from New York, and I was like, what a nice guy. Great stuff.
Yeah. I'm so happy Mark is on board for this.
You and me both. I did a dance.
Yeah, Yeah, of course. Now, Shirley, what are you planning on talking during your segment? I'm really very interested in mental health and music because this is something where music is so powerful and so needed at the moment. So, what are you planning your topics, or you will just go with the flow?
Well, I have been really focusing on children and women, so I will probably over that, side of the discussion. Yeah.
So that's for parents of children who are studying music or maybe not studying music yet, and right.
Actually, more like teens, kids who might have been bullied at home or at school, because sometimes bullying is such a thorn, and if you don't take that thorn out, the wound would just get deeper and deeper, right? So I'll talk about that because I have walked that own path, that very path. So I really know how just playing some certain kinds of music can be very, very healing. And
Absolutely.
women, yeah, women are taught. I mean, they tend to be more prone to depression anyway. Because men and women deal with depression very differently. They have their own set of challenges when it comes to mental health. But for women, just finding maybe that 5 to 10 minutes every day, the me time, to just sit down and play for herself.
Yeah.
That is self empowerment.
Incredible. What an incredible array of different topics and different areas and different views, and all coming from pianists. Mark, that's an incredible event.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So I'm so looking forward to being part of it, and hope I can bring something enriching to myself,
Absolutely.
to the conversations in the air, and being part of this blooming conglomerate of pianists coming together during this difficult time and bringing hopeful message, bringing vision of the better future, better today, better this moment, better this second. I'm enjoying your guys' company immensely, and very appreciative of you taking time to come on board with Virtual Concert Halls and being here for this interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. It's really appreciated.
It's absolutely our pleasure.
And with this, I would like to thank our viewers. And special thanks go to the Virtual Concert Halls team and the producer of this and director of this program, Fran Rusinovic, who is also our technical director, and all other members of our Virtual Concert Halls team, and people who are also musicians. Some of them are pianists behind the scenes working on this production possibility and opportunity for musicians all over the world to come together, connect, be together, and build better connected and better future. Thank you all very much. Hope to see you in our next program. Bye now.